screen. So my name is Vincent Mwando. I'm a member of the Kenya chapter. I'm passionate about internet governance and more so in encryption. So just a bit about me. Last year, I did the IGF, the 2020 Youth Ambassador Program, and I reached the paper writing stage. And I hope that this year or coming years I'll get a chance to be a youth ambassador where I can present the Kenyan chapter and also can be able to have more voice, that at least we can spend some of the things we wish and admire to achieve. So let me just share my screen. Okay, just share. Okay, so I hope Joel, I hope it's audible on your end and also you can see my screen.
Yes, I can see. Thank you very much.
Okay. Yes. So actually the finding were given initiative to choose, and I picked on why encryption because I think most of us are not aware of the basic of encryption and what are the importance of encryption. So just as I was saying, so this is a work between the Internet Society Fundamental Program 2021 and the Kenyan chapter in class with the coordinators who have been assisting us. So I think for those of us who may not know anything about encryption, so encryption, I think most of us just know the WhatsApp, I think the end-to-end encryption. So encryption is basically just the art of encoding, which means coding and decoding information. So which means there's a device or a system that scrambles the data that only the target audience, the target person can be able to decrypt it. So there's a key which is being shared between the sender and the receiver. So just as always in our normal daily life, we use encryption in various sectors. Some of us even may not be aware. Like for example, with the current pandemic, so many things have gone to the digital space, from banking, from shopping, from communication and to learning. So files like sets like the iCloud, Google Drive, and Amazon rely on encryption. WhatsApp, then the Signal, etc., and even Amazon and Jumia and Alibaba, they all rely on an encryption that at least those who are prying cannot be able to get information that the users are having. So this is just basically how encryption works. So for example, let me use the basic about sending a message. So when you send a message, you'll get to you it's readable from your end. Then it's being encoded or encrypted, then into a ciphertext, which is being sent to the receiver. Then the receiver will decrypt the message. Then there'll be a clear message on the other end. So which means there has to be a sender and a receiver. Then we also have to have the encryption mechanism. So just in 2016, the UN, the United Nations Human Rights Council had a meeting where they decided they came up with the conclusion that just like human rights, the human rights that we have just outside the digital space, we should also have them in the digital space. So one is about the right of privacy. So we have right of privacy just on outside the digital space and also in the digital space. So just to read here, just as you can see, on the internet is the third-party second session. Observe that the same right that people have offline must also be protected online. It noted that the exercise of human rights, in particular, the right of freedom of expression on the internet, is an issue of increasing interest and importance and rapid space of technology. So just like now, the way there's so much, there's been so much abuse, there's so much there, like for example, the Black Lives Matter, the dance happening on Twitter, on various platforms, social media platforms. So we have the right to privacy, we have right to express ourselves just the way we can actually speak out of the digital world. So this is why the council noted in comment that trust in the internet as an enabler for development and innovation can be realized, with full cooperation between government, civil society, the private sector, and the technical community, and the academia. So some of the recent threats to encryption they come from various sectors. For example, government, private sector, business and individuals. From my end, you can see on the bottom of the screen, we have two pictures actually. So on the left side, you'll see hacked, a phone which has been hacked. Then on the right side, you'll see someone trying to pry into a closed safe. So encryption is just like you can have a safe, then things are safe inside there. But once somebody can be able to actually access the information without the authority of the owner or person of the key, then that is like prying eyes. So just some of the threats include we have the exceptional access. For example, recently the issue about it happened last year in the US where the FBI, the Federal Bureau of Investigation, was trying to force Apple Inc. so that they can be able to give a backdoor to the Apple devices. So there was an incident where a phone was found to be in possession of someone's. There's an incident which someone was killed, but now they are saying that the owner of the phone had photos and things which could actually help them investigate. But Apple came and said that they have no authority over the phone, only the owner has the authority. So they've been trying to push, for example, the US government to be able to give a backdoor to be able to access certain information. Then also we have now third-party application, third-party communication and stuff. So most of us, when we use our normal devices, we are pumped with some ads, we are pumped with some applications which we normally install, and we don't know what they are doing. Some of them end up prying into our information, picking, like they end up being a bridge between the communication. So if as long as I'm chatting with somebody on WhatsApp, then a third party gets involved, then he or she will be able to get the information before reaching the sender. Then now the hacking software, which was used by the NSO group, where they were able to pry into information and use it for, like the government was able to get information from the public and even commit some, be able to have some killings which were like, so through this software, they're able to pry on the information and be able to locate people. So such things are the threat to encryption. Then just we have the machine in the middle attack. So this just like an eavesdropping and can be, other people may call it man in the middle attack or machine in the middle attack. So just eavesdropping, just there I said, it's more about a third party being involved and being able to actually see through the information which you'll be sharing between you and the desired target. It may also be just information which you've stored in your devices, for example, your laptop, your phones, or any other device which stores your personal information. For example, your biometrics or maybe credit card and stuff. So what are some of the pros of encryption? So just it is an enabler to near bulletproof barrier from accessing data by unauthorized people or persons. So just this, I think we can understand that once you are encrypted, then actually the person, if the receiver or anybody prying does not have the key to the information, then he or she cannot be able to access the information. I can call it in layman's language. For example, here in Kenya, for example, back then we used to store maize in granaries. So if it was closed, nobody could access the maize inside the granary unless he or she was given the key to access the granary. So this is just actually the essence of an encryption. Then it enables private communication as only intended parties, but the sender can access the content. So if for example, I'm communicating with Joel, then practically what it means that only I and Joel can be able to see the information. So we may be communicating, we may be communicating, and any other person may not get the information. So that's some of the importance of encryption, because some of the information we share could be private and personal. Some of them could be medical data, for example, those who have the various health issues, medication and stuff. So if somebody can be able to access such information, then they can use it for various purposes that may harm or may not be for the intended purpose. So fosters personal security by keeping your identity safe and hinders people from impersonating you and getting private data. Then is the cornerstone of national security. Various government bodies, for example, the intelligence, treasury, all of them rely on encryption. So they always have information which is encrypted that if a third party or another party gets it, then it can be used to blackmail, it can be used to commit murder, it can be used for various reasons that was not intended. Then some of the encryption-based practices maybe include, one is understanding the need for strong encryption. So it is good for us to know why we really need encryption. If we get to understand that, and that's why I always champion my fellow youths that it's just a simple word, encryption, but it has so much value. Before something happens to you, you may not know the importance of encryption. We have our gadgets and we end up installing certain things, we end up running certain applications without the information of what they are actually getting from us. And I think all of us know that information is money. Actually, having information that's like currency, that is now there, that's money, that's wealth. So if I have information about you, I can use it I can go sell it, I can go blackmail you with it, I can do so many things with it. Then use of strong encryption across all platforms. There's no need of me having an encrypted device. For example, if I encrypt my laptop from people prying, then on the other end, the third party does not the intended person, maybe his or her phone or laptop is not encrypted. So which means the information will be safe on my end, but on the other end, it won't be safe. Then restricting third-party applications from the amount of data and access they have. Just like recently, I think Apple launched the things about allowed tracking, one, then also certain applications, the amount of data, you can restrict them. Then I think on the Android part, there's the aspect about Android version 11 has the option about limiting access to your personal data. You can use an application and only like for example, Google Map, let it only access your information while you're using it, or maybe no. But in normal sense, we get that we've allowed certain applications which even don't need our personal information to access the information. So we are not aware if somebody maybe can be able to pry eyes from that application, then they can be able to access our data. Then government policies to safeguard encryption. So it all starts by us, then also the government. So if the government can design policies that can safeguard encryption, because like, for example, the issue about the United States, it's about the government was trying to actually force various corporations to give a backdoor so that they can be able to access information. So such things are actually threats to encryption. Then we can also talk about white hacker, because we are aware that they are hackers. Then we have white hackers and the black hackers. So I think white hackers can be able to actually help with the constant change. There's always constant change in technology. So I think white hackers will be able to safeguard the encryption, be able to safeguard the technology that we have actually currently happening. So I think they'll be actually help us minimize the aspect about black hackers. And that's why in general, we always support hackers, but we always want to have ethical hacking skills, ethical hacking persons who are driven with the aspect about the human aspect about internet, that internet is something for all. It should be able to use to drive the economy, should be able to build people's lives. But if at all the hackers, the black hackers, be able to get the information, then I think it will be hindrance to the fight about safe and strong encryption. So we can ask yourself how to keep safe in the digital space. That's something that someone can say, okay, it's about encryption. So okay, what about encryption? So I think it starts by one, only using end-to-end encrypted messaging platforms such as WhatsApp and Signal. Early this year, I think there was when WhatsApp actually was trying, when the cell changed, and then the aspect about certain information being used by Facebook to market and also to actually enable ease of interaction between the platforms. But all in all, if at all Facebook can access the information and Facebook policies are different that from WhatsApp, then I think such instances will enable the information that was also supposed to be intended to other parties be able to reach those other parties. So so end-to-end encryption is something that will help us actually help us protect ourselves in the digital space. Then using strong and unique passwords. This is the simplest thing that people don't take serious. Someone can just come and say, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 that's the easy password. But even a child can guess that. So I think having unique and strong passwords and even codes will always help us enable be safe in the digital space. For example, I can put a question on you. For example, like assume somebody accesses your bank. You can be able to access your like your bank account. So maybe you have some few dollars or some few Kenyan shillings in the bank. Then somebody can come and get the money from you. At that particular time, you'll actually know the importance of what having two-factor verification method that can be able to help you. That such things help us bridge the gap that somebody else could be able to use. Then the third part can be about updating security features and universal updates to be up to date. For example, our laptops, most of them use we have various antiviruses which help us actually secure our devices.
Hi, Vincent.
Yes.
If you can do in another 5 minutes, kindly.
No problem. Okay.
Thank you.
So I'm just almost done. So thank you. So updating security features. Then I think I'm just almost done. So just to conclude, so the discussion above just shows how much encryption is important and to us for our privacy in the digital world. It's also important, as pointed above, that discussion and solutions are found for threat-specific encryption. Someone once said that encryption not working because, for example, we can't quantify encryption. It gives a false things about because it's just like imaginary, but in real sense, it's something that we really need. Then you can't audit encryption. That's why even the government is trying to fight encryption because you can't audit it. Then you can't encrypt a system. For example, you can't encrypt like a whole plant or just a whole system. You'll have to encrypt parts. So I think with the coordination and cooperation between various parties, we can be able to make encryption a reality. So the threats are formidable and have the potential of eroding privacy. All stakeholders therefore need to cooperate and find a way to enable strong and secure digital presence. And that should cut across from various sectors, from the government to the education to all the sectors which may be involved. I think we can start by at least letting the youth know the importance of this so they can be champions for such initiatives. So my name is Vincent, and that was just an introduction about why it's important to get involved in encryption and what's the importance of encryption. So thank you so much. It's been a pleasure sharing this with you.
Wow, that's amazing. Thank you, Vincent, for sticking to the time. I know you have raised many issues about encryption and yes. related matters. But I think the most important question is who benefits from encryption? That summarizes your presentation. And, you've talked of government, you've talked of other stakeholders and the users in particular. So yes. I do not know what our participants in the session think. I want to allow just 2 questions, if we can have them in quick succession, so that we are done in 5 minutes. And meanwhile, we should have, Megan preparing to come on the floor. So 2 quick questions for Vincent from the participants. Is it important, encryption? Do we need it?
Okay.
As user?
Any question before I can just add on that. So it is important to the user actually. Encryption safeguards.
Before you answer, okay. Let me. Yeah, I'm just prompting. Yeah. Okay. I'm just prompting the audience to fire some 1 or 2 questions. Yes, I can see one hand up. This is oh, I can't see whose hand is up. Oh, that's
mine.
Go on.
Yeah, perfect. Number one, I just want to, congratulate Vincent for that elaborate presentation. And of course, the fact that encryption is very key. I don't really want to think this is a question. It's more of maybe a food for thought. Yeah. The difference between, essentially encryption is encompassing of privacy and secrecy. So how do we think about encryption in matters, our own private information, and also encryption in terms of secret information, especially when crime is involved, because I think that's also another issue that is coming up. Maybe you can comment on it, but I think for me it was more of something that we could also now start thinking about, especially as crime rates, especially in the digital world, continue to escalate. Thank you so much.
Excellent, excellent. And thank you, Erwin. That's our head of membership and outreach. So in the interest of time, I'll allow Vincent to respond maybe in another 2 minutes so that we welcome on the floor the next presenter. Thank you,
okay.
Vincent.
Thank you so much, Lumumba. Okay, okay. This is actually a bond with you actually, and just there you started saying that encryption is about privacy and secrecy. So it is up to us to be safe. Like, okay, someone once said that it's even to the thieves, to the spare, it is good for them to be safe. So let's start from there first of all. That is, I know it is about ethics and stuff, but first of all, it's about being safe and secure. So if the information which I put on the digital space, if it's safe and secure, then I think that's the essence of encryption. Then now, the moment that we give a backdoor, for example, during such things, then actually, which means, what about if the wrong hand uses the information? For example, if at all we give the government a backdoor to, actually, let me say to your phone, they can be able to spy you and know where you are, what you're doing and stuff. Then what about if it gets out to the wrong hands? Yes. So the encryption, actually, the essence is that let us be secure in the digital space. Then now, for that now, we can now see ways of now deviating so that at least we can now minimize the crime. We can actually have people's rights protected in the digital space, because I think that is various. For example, I think recently Twitter said that it will be spying, it will be not spying, it will be checking. For example, given tagline, for example, let me say if I use a search, for example, I say, let me say a cow. So if I search for a cow, then somebody uses that word, I say it's a bad word, which was maybe if I say you are a cow, then it's like an abuse, then they'll be able to know who are the ones who use those certain abusive words. So what I can just say is, in summary, encryption is about being secure and privacy in the digital space. No matter who you are, that's the basic. So it's human rights. We say that you need to be private and secure. You be free to express yourself. So for that now, we can now devise methods to actually now be able to now to control the abuse, control the crime rate which is going on in the digital space. But essentially, it's always good. And actually, I fight for encryption, full encryption across all devices. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Vincent, for that response. And I think you have summarized well. There's a question on the chat from John Barno, who is asking, how can an ordinary user with a scanty knowledge of ICT appreciate and use encryption? I think this has been part of your response. And thank you, John, for your question. I am sure you understand that, safe, as you want to be safe in the house, you also want to be safe online. You want to be sure that your message is only reaching the intended recipient. And I think that is very, very important. So thank you very much. Lumumba is saying that, you need to ensure you have strong passwords, try to have unique passwords across different platforms, and that finally assures you of encryption. Thank you very much. Let the discussion continue on the chat.